is no business cards, no brochures, just action, just results. Probably the wildest and cheapest social action campaign to date that affects a lot of young Filipinos. Mga kaibigan, it's my pleasure to call on Gang Badoy.
I understand that I'm supposed to give you my one big idea tonight. I see several familiar people also. I know that you know that I talk. So 15 minutes is really tough for me, but I narrowed it down as best I can. So I'm just going to give you the one big idea, of course in the context of my work, which is our alternative education NGO called RockEd. Okay, so just to give you a briefer, at another point in my life, if you ask me to give you my one big idea in 15 minutes, I'd probably have many other things to say. But at this stage in my life where I am, I have no other story to tell except the last 2 years of my life where I actually, for the first time, devoted myself to just one thing. I'm obviously hyper disorder, distracted. I don't even know what it is, ADHD. See, I can't even get the abbreviation right. I'm obviously hyper attention deficit disorder. So to actually devote myself to one thing focused for the last 2 years is the greatest accomplishment. So unfortunately for you, this is the only story I have. This is the only story I have tonight. Let me tell you about RockEd Philippines. Okay? Oh, it's okay. It's okay, take your time. Are you okay? You know what? Just to prove a point, I won't use my PowerPoint. How's that? Yeah. All right. Oh, now I'm nervous. No, just to prove a point. You know what? I have one point to make. You are not your laptop. You are not your iPod. You know what? Kung mag-brown out dito, I'll still give you the speech of my life. So I'm going to do it. How's that? All right. Okay. Let me start. In 2005, I was so frustrated with the Garci tapes. You probably were too. And I said, I want to join an NGO. So I shopped for an NGO. There are very many fantastic NGOs, by the way. Greenpeace, Worldwide Fund, etc., etc. But I realized that they always give you a task list, or not always. There are some that are as flexible as they should be. And they're so focused. You know me, focus is my nemesis. I can't focus, so I'm like, oh, you mean this whole time we'll only focus on animals? Parang ganun. You mean trees again, trees again, trees again? I don't get it. Parang ganun. So I said, you know, this can't be. So you know what, I'm just start my own. No problem. Nooks. So I'll just say, no problem, let's do this. So it happened like very many good things, very accidentally. I didn't quite plan it. But because I was then with the Jesuit Communications, I was constantly invited to schools to speak of media literacy. How to watch TV, how to break it down, how to read the media, ganyan. They always give me 3 hours. Okay, 15 minutes is a little short, but 3 hours is way. You don't prepare for 3 hours. So what did I always do? Of course, I cheat. I'm Filipino, I cheat. So I bring a musician. I'm from the Philippine government. I cheat. No, I'm just kidding. So I bring a musician with me all the time. That's my cheating, right? I brought Noel Cabangon. I got whoever musician I can call, you know. So in between the points I need to make, I want a song. Yeah, so I'm like the spiel of a concert. So every time I would do that, I'd say, okay, today we will be rocking while educating and educating while rocking. And paulit-ulit ko sinabi, I kept saying it over and over until I realized it got a little bigger and bigger. More musicians volunteered and etc., etc. Right, so that's the big idea. Supposedly that's my big dream, new thought, and supposedly the brave thing. Brave, absolutely. Why? Because one, I don't have money. You know, NGOs are born out of a funder or a grant. And a big idea. And this thick, yung proposal at papel and SEC and DTI and whatever. And of course, I have no patience to do that. But for some reason it happened because people came in, people started helping, people started working. But it has to go back to where I came from, right? I'll tell you how I got to this big idea. I'm the youngest of 10 children of my mom, and my father has 5 children, and etc., etc. So we're 15 total festival, because widower, etc. So I'm the youngest. Can you imagine how much authority I had to deal with? Okay, parents, mommy, daddy, sister, brother, neighbor, tita, tito, friends of tita. And I guess you're all the same. I guess all our cells are the same. We deal with figures of authority all the time. And you know, the best adjective of my mom for me all the time was, she's obedient. She rarely says that. Maybe that's why I valued it. When she says, you know, she's so obedient. Let me tell you about obedience. Obedience is not compliance. Compliance is you agree. Obedience is not conformity. Conformity is you become like the majority. Obedience is you follow the restraint of an order. That was the value of the day when I was young. That was it. That's what I wanted to be. Of course, you have like the whole church thing and the whole nuns, etc. So you said, obedience is the key. So that was my big thing. Obviously, I wasn't very good at it. So, then came this new word. Na 3 weeks ago lang ni-reintroduce sa akin. It has ingenious Pinoy. You know, it's so uncomfortable when somebody uses adjectives for you that you rarely use for yourself. So they said, ingenious Pinoy. Even my name tag has it. I'm an ingenious Pinoy. So I researched, what does ingenious mean? On the Webster front, it means clever, resourceful, etc. On the Latin front, I did my Google, it says, it came from the word ingenium, which you know what it means? Natural capacity. Isn't that awesome? Invention. It's so different from now. Oh. Ingenious now means resourceful, etc., etc. It's almost like you're a step notch above the normal mass. But no. Ingenium came from something that says natural capacity of man for invention, for understanding, for knowledge, or etc. So that's where it came from. So here I am, caught between two adjectives, obedient and ingenious. Right? So let's talk about ingenious at the self. In the house, that's easy. It's easy to go around that, you know, say, go to bed, brush your teeth, whatever. In society, who do we obey? Who are the figures of authority? Fashion, media, Timya, whatever, Chris Aquino, I don't know. Sorry, bang. Woo, that just came out, didn't it? But these are the authorities we listen to. And you know what? I'm so glad it's in this venue, and I'm so glad it's you. Lahat kayo may kaya, you're all rich. So I'll tell you, we are a nation of snobs. We're all snobs, you know? I have an older brother, one of the many, so you can decide who it is. He's such a snob. He actually asked me, Gang, what's your phone number? And I said, 0916. He made a face and winced at the 6 because he said, oh God, 6? You mean you're not 0917? And I said, what did I? So I was like, what was that about? So I started thinking. Then I realized I went deeper into that comment because you know how your older siblings always mean something, even if they look like they don't. So you say, what that meant? And I realized 0917 were the first numbers of another number, another network. Sorry about that. And it was also an indication that you had a line and that you were rather steady in your financial state because you can afford a line for your number. And he said something, the magic word, oh God, Jologs, are you not 0917? And I said, wow! How have we gotten that state of snobbishness that even one digit in my phone number is bothersome to you? That's crazy, but we are that way. You know, and I'll be as frank as I can. Please don't get mad at me. I don't mean you any harm when I say this, but we're such snobs. One, people from South Forbes, because it's the older Forbes, kind of tend to snub on the other Makati villages because they're newer money. Of course, they snub Valle Verde also because that's 80s, newer money. Alabang, much more. That's probably new money too. But Alabang also snubs everyone else because you're so polluted and we have so much sprawling land here. And then on the other side, everybody snubs everyone. LaSalle snubs Ateneo snubs whoever. Southridge snubs everyone. NGO snub the government. And then the government, they're too busy stealing, so they don't snub anyone. So they're all right. They're all right with everyone. So, if you have to work around a society that's so snobbish and divided this way, what's the greatest thing you can do? One, this is my great idea. It's coming up. I can picture my PowerPoint. This is the slide now where my great idea comes out. You know what? We don't have to come together. We don't have to unite. It's all right. No group hug at the end of the day. It's okay. I don't have to like you. You don't have to like me. We just have to have the same dream. No problem. It's all right. Why? Because we keep forcing ourselves, and I don't know if it's the church, and I point to Father Ted as I say that. I don't know if it's the church, but don't you love blaming the church, parents, and society for everything that's wrong? I don't know if it's the church or our predominant religion that forces us to magkaisa, unite, come together before we move. You know, we laud EDSA when we all got together against a dictator. We laud the late landslide when we all got together, rich, poor, whatever, helping because landslide people got hurt and we all got together. And another Reming, another Melinia. It's always a disaster. that gets us together, or a dictator, or that, or Pacquiao winning, which is somewhat disastrous too sometimes. But anyway, for me, there are so much more ordinary times in Philippine landscape. So we cannot always wait for a catastrophe to come together and the kumbaya at the end of the day, and let's all sing and etc. It's okay. You know what? I confessed to a priest before. It wasn't Father Ted, and I said, Father, there's this girl, I really don't like her. And I guess it's normal, you know, I'm sure you know one or two people you don't like. She's really not my type. I can't stand when I see her. I really get, basta, you get the picture. And this priest, very wise, of course he's a Jesuit, he said, Gang, you don't have to like her. The most Christian thing you can do right now is just avoid her. But, sir, she's my thesis partner. Ooh, now you know. She's my thesis partner. And then this priest goes, then just work with her. You can just write emails, as they email each other, or text. You don't have to be with her. Function still. Finish the work. You don't have to love her at the end of the day. You don't have to like her. But you can love her by at least not burning her dorm room down, which of course was part of the plan. Because I'm not a very kind person. So, that's where ingenuity comes in. We have to start thinking, and I feel free to say this because I know you're all smart and you're all critical thinkers. How else can you afford to gimmick on a Thursday night in warehouse, whatever, Yakal Street? How else? So I know, I will not be careful when I say this. You don't have to follow the premise of magkaisa bago mag-progress. Unity cannot be a premise for action anymore. Obviously, it hasn't worked for us. But unity is the goal. That's where we want to go. That's what we want to achieve. We have one dream anyway. Does it mean we all have to high five? No, it's okay. Let's just share resources. We share technological expertise. We share knowledge. We share some of our time if you want. And just function where you are. If somebody from Greenpeace doesn't like someone from World Wide Fund, no problem. Greenpeace will continue doing what it is. World Wide Fund will do this. So will Child Hope, so will etc., so will I, so will Rocket, and etc. And then when you look at the bigger picture, wow, maybe we are moving, we are progressing, without having to force the paralysis of wait, we have to get along first before we work with each other. Who are we kidding? We will always not like people at some point. But, of course, unity is always the best thing. Why? Because it always has the fruit of peace, and that's always the goal. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay, so the big idea, which is demonstrated in RockEd, is this. When somebody joins RockEd Philippines, they say, "Hi ma'am, I'm from Assumption, San Lorenzo." When they join RockEd, they don't need to meld with the other RockEd volunteers. They can join as RockEd Assumption and do their work where they are. They don't have to mingle with RockEd Singsko, Poveda, no, it's okay, no problem. Why? Because I've tried, you know, we keep trying to force people together, but maybe that's not the start. Maybe it will get there someday, because if we keep working towards the same direction, we all end up in the same place anyway. But right now, maybe that's not where we start. Maybe it's all right. Maybe it's all right not to come together yet, but we do the work where we are, in our expertise, sharing an extension of expertise, because that's always necessary. Like a geologist friend of mine said, during the Leyte landslide, they weren't consulted by the rescue workers because they're scientists. They look really weird and thin and strange because they're scientists. Nobody asked them, the geologists, where do we dig after the Leyte landslide? So they spent 6 hours digging in one area without asking that the tectonic plate shifted for half a mile. Of course, the school was now half a mile away. They were digging right where the spot was, where the school used to be. Now, that's an example of you're supposed to trust people's expertises. Whoever is the expert, trust that person. Share that knowledge, share that expertise. Do we have to light a candle together with a group hug in the end? No. It's okay. It's not the goal. That's not the key. That's not the means. Unity is the goal. And to end, my grand idea, which is probably, somebody told me, that's probably federalism, gang. And I said, I didn't have a name for it, and I don't really care about the government shape because I feel like whatever shape it's in, basta pareho yung nandun, it's still going to be the same. So I don't know if it's federalism. All I know is that if we learn from our geological setup, which is we're a cluster of islands, and we can function there, but the whole Philippine island still progresses from there without us having to force the continental drift to push us back together again. It's okay. Right? To end, I think it takes all sorts of people to run a world. right? A professor of mine who I really look up to asked me once, how come Rocket never rallies for issues? You never placard or go to the street. You're so lame. Then I always said, sir, because I don't think that's how we do it anymore now. This generation has a different shape. Then, of course, the argument went to the mechanics of a rally, which is a placard, sitting in front, in the sun, and sitting together. And then he kept saying, that's what a rally is for. You magnify issues, you magnify the statements, you let people hear you. Then I keep saying, but at the end of the day, you almost pray for a theatric dispersal so that you're featured on TV. But I was just thinking this. Why? Because I'm obedient, and I just say yes. But I'm so ingeniously disobedient now. I just nod, but I do something else. So I think with this room, I think we have some hope in this room because we know and we are smarter and probably more blessed than others who are able to study. We know when to disobey or not obey authority, but for as long as the goal is human rights for everyone. Everyone has food, everyone has a job, everyone has etc. I know for a fact that language, obviously I'm a verbal person, language evolves with whatever is constantly used, like the word dologs, miscall, those weren't words before. Now they're words because they're constantly used. In the world, it's the same. We have c'est la vie, déjà vu from the French, we have blitzkrieg, we have schadenfreude from the Germans. My dream is someday, worldwide, the famous phrase that will ring all over that is Filipino is the phrase, bakit hindi? I want all over the world it will be as normal as the way Filipinos or Asians use the French terms, almost like their lingua franca. So all over the world, I want the Philippines to adapt or actually throw out that phrase to make it normal that it did come from the Philippines because the whole country asked all together, bakit hindi? Why not? I understand that there are many geniuses in the room, and I don't think you're extraordinary in terms of higher capacity or bigger capability of understanding or creating things. I think a genius is really someone who just asked, why not? But hindi. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, Dan.